Coming to you live Thursday, January 9th, Sage. It's around 7 o'clock. The 6-11 49ers just ended their season on Sunday, Sage. I thought I wasn't going to hear about them for a week. Thought I was going to be able to focus on some wild card football, some college playoff, but they already had a lot of big news coming in. So, as everybody expected, they fired special teams coach Brian Schneider. Sage, a lot of people were split on this one, but they ended up pulling the cord on defensive coordinator Nick Sorensen. Moves that honestly had to happen, Sage. Let's be real. These moves had to happen.
It was a must-have, right? Like whatever a big game, a must-win is, this was a must-move. The whole fan base wanted it. You were a little nervous because there was no real implications between the coaching staff that they didn't like him. It seems like they do like him, though. They offered him a different job. They said they still have him under contract with Nick Sorensen, which I don't understand, but I'm just happy he's not going to be calling plays for the defense. I mean, that was something that you just had to do, and you had to get ahead of it right away. So they did that. So it's inverse of what happened last offseason. The vibes were at an all-time low. Starting off, the vibes are an all-time high.
So, I mean, Sage, when we look at Nick Sorensen, we were critical of him all year. We said he only rushes 4 people. He never makes adjustments. When he got hired, we all kind of brought the fact of he's an assistant defensive backs coach. He has most of his coaching experience with special teams. I think he was he ran some classes on ball security drills. This guy never really had the experience to be the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. We know that Kyle Shanahan reached out to guys like Bill Belichick, reached out to different guys, but wasn't able to get it done. So they had to eventually go with Nick Sorensen. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a hire that wasn't ever going to work, and it ended up just not working.
I mean, you could say that. I mean, asking Belichick to be your defensive coordinator, knowing there's no chance in hell he takes it. It's like those guys who go on Twitter and like DM. What's that chick from Euphoria?
Sydney Sweeney?
Sydney Sweeney, like, will you be
how do you not know that right away? How do you not have Sydney Sweeney?
I'm bad with that shit.
But yes,
Sydney Sweeney, like DMing Sydney Sweeney, like, will you be my date to prom? Like, you have no chance. I mean, it was cute, but you heard in the press conference, right? That's what he was saying is we start the process late. So we were kind of limited with our options. Like, it seemed like he was saying we didn't want Sorensen to ever be our defensive coordinator. It's kind of the hand we were dealt. Like,
it seems like something they had to do. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not a bad guy. It's just kind of like if we promoted like Chase Corick to be our defensive coordinator, it's just kind of the situation we were dealt with. It seems like,
well, why the fuck am I getting brought into this?
No, just say it, bro. Like, you're not a bad guy, but like, it's like the guy clearly wasn't qualified. Special teams background, like you said, ball security coach, like nothing like sounds like defense to me. So I mean, what's next? There were some names thrown out there, but I don't know, man. Like you had to make a move. You made a move. You addressed it. It seems like you didn't hurt any feelings. So
no, I mean, Sage, it seems like everything's still cool. Like you brought up, they asked Shanahan at the press conference with Lynch to end the season a couple days ago, is Nick Sorensen in consideration to be the special team coach? He said yes. He's still under contract. You've never seen this. I feel like both Shanahan and Sorensen knew that was a little bit of a reach for him to be the defensive coordinator, but that Sorensen's probably just a great guy. I mean, him and Kyle, like we said, they look the exact same. I bet you in the ball security drills, everybody loved him. So Kyle was like, I got no other option. I'm just going to go with Nick Sorensen. Exactly. And at the end of the season, there was injuries, but he's like, Nick, we got Robert Saleh coming. We got potentially Jeff Ulbrich. We want you on the staff. You're a good coach. Some bad luck happened, but yeah, I think that's what it is, Sage. I mean, it seems like it's coming down to 2 names.
Yeah, what does that tell you about Brandon Staley, though? They had him in-house. He has experience as a defensive coordinator, won a Super Bowl, right, as a defensive coordinator, and they still didn't want him. They rather went with Nick Sorensen. So the fact that he's in the hiring process, too, gives me no confidence, strings no like intention for me. Like, I don't want that to happen, it seems like. But the 2 names you were saying?
Yeah, so it's going to be Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh. I mean, we know a lot about Robert Saleh. I think a reason that they didn't hire Staley, Sage, was because he didn't come from that wide 9. Yeah, that exactly. Old Pete Carroll Seattle defense. So it seems like Shanahan, especially after Steve Wilkes, who we all know that him and Shanahan butted heads, he wanted to go with someone who had that wide 9 experience. That was Nick Sorensen. So those 2 names stand out because they both have experience with that. A lot of people are saying Lou Anarumo, but I don't know. Robert Saleh already got interviewed like literally 12 hours after they fired Nick Sorensen. So There's no other options out there. Let's be honest, Sage. He's not going to get a head coaching job. So it seems like it's going to be Robert Saleh.
And then Deshea Townsend, was it the guy from the Jags? That was the third guy. I heard nothing about him until today. Didn't know he existed until today.
We know what that one is. We know what that one is.
Okay. I mean, I think Saleh.
That's a Rooney Rule special right there. It's like, oh, we need to get somebody in there. I mean, we all, it's like kind of the worst kept secret in the NFL that every single coaching cycle, they kind of had those two sacrificial lambs just to follow the Rooney Rule. If they go with Deshea Townsend's probably plus 30,000 right now in Vegas to be the defense coordinator of the 49ers.
Better chance the Niners win the Super Bowl this year. Better chance the Niners win the Super Bowl this year. I'm interested in Lou Anarumo. I know they didn't interview him yet, but I was kind of looking into it. I was like, it's not a sexy hire, but it's kind of an undercover good hire if they went that route. You know me, I like Saleh. He runs the wide nine, knows the players. The players seem to really like him. Shanny seems to really like him. Fits the culture, brings that tenacity on the sideline. He's a dog. The defense kind of takes on his personality, which I like. We had the exact opposite with that with Sorensen. So, I mean, I feel like any of the choices, I don't want Ulbrich. That's the one I'll say I don't want. Like, you're a defensive coordinator. You get promoted to coach, and your defense goes way backwards. I don't trust that. So, I'm between Saleh or Lou Anarumo. Those are the two I'd like.
I mean, it wouldn't make any sense if you have. It's basically like you have the master and you have the Padawan. You're like interviewing both. Like, why do you pick the lower guy when you could get Robert Saleh?
Last year.
Especially he has Niners experience. He's been with the guys on this roster. He has experience with Kyle Shanahan be the defensive coordinator. I would put it down as minus 500 Sage. It seems signed, sealed, delivered. In all honesty.
So you think there's no chance the Jags actually hire him?
I'll say this. I'm excited for Robert Saleh to potentially be the 49ers defensive coordinator. What in the hell would prove to you that he's a good head coach in the NFL? He literally had one of the worst records. He literally had one of the worst records in the past 3 years in the NFL as the head coach of the Jets. It ended out being a dumpster fire. He was a good defensive coordinator, but he was a train wreck as a head coach. I don't see any reason why the Jaguars would think that he's the option.
I mean, but it's not the Jaguars, right? Like, it's Balky and the owner, and it seems like they're just like dysfunctional. Like, never underestimate how bad. It reminds me of when when the Warriors had the second pick in the draft, and we're like, is there any chance the Timberwolves don't draft Anthony Edwards? And we're like, don't underestimate bad organizations, right? I mean, they ended up drafting.
Could you imagine?
I mean, never underestimate a bad organization. Like, the Jaguars could hire Antonio Pierce tomorrow. I wouldn't be too shocked. I just think Balky has his hands all over that. Never know. I mean, maybe he wants that connection. I feel like Saul is a respected guy around the league, but it seems like it's Niners or bust at this point for him. I do agree. Like, I would be shocked if the Jaguars did hire him. That being said, I don't love it as much as I thought I initially would, but I still think it's a good move. Like, having a guy with experience, having someone that the players like and everything.
I don't know about you. I mean, I would be excited with Saleh. He did a really good job as the Niners defense coordinator. I had a couple of issues with some of the late games.
You didn't really like him.
Well, it was these late game adjustments, especially in these big playoff games, especially the one against the Chiefs. I just felt like his defense was stacked. And there were some times where I felt like he was getting schemed up against some of these better offenses late in games. But
I mean, who isn't getting
compared to Nick Sorensen, I'll take that all day. I'll take a top 5 defense who maybe at the end of the game gets beat up by Patrick Mahomes. That's everybody in the NFL.
Chase, do you know who that isn't, though?
Lou Anarumo.
I swear. So I had that written down.
The Mahomes stopper.
So that's like this guy, like when like his defense in the regular season could be as dog shit as it needs to be, but in big games, they always play up to a certain standard. Like, they were the worst defense ever. They played great one week other than the Pittsburgh week. When was it? When they played the Chiefs. Whenever they play the Bills, they play like a really good game on defense. Like, they're able to hold teams. I don't understand it with this guy. Like, maybe he's just like a big game Lou. Like, you give him some time to prep. You give him 2 weeks.
Big game Lou. I like that.
He's able to put up like some genius defense. I also think he was handicapped by the fact that the ownership's cheap as shit. They let all these guys walk. They let their entire D-line walk except Trey Hendrickson. They let Jesse Bates walk. They let their entire secondary walk. They refuse to pay guys. They won't even pay T. Higgins. They won't pay Jamar Chase, who's arguably the best receiver in the league. So I think he didn't have the parts. Like, you saw the defense slowly regress as he kind of stayed there. And I just felt like he was the fall guy when it should have been Zach Taylor all along. And it's kind of a fault on the ownership. So like I said, I wouldn't be too mad with a guy like that. Like, I think he has the pedigree. I mean, he was right there. That defense played so well in that playoff run. Kind of got picked apart by Stafford and Cup in the Super Bowl when it was go time, but so did the Niners that season. So I'm not going to fault him too much for that. I think he's just interesting because 2-3 years ago, like he was the hot name. He was the guy everyone's like, oh, is this guy next up? Like he's a dog. Like he's been around the league. He's experienced. And then as the personnel goes out the door, so does like his reputation. So, I mean, I wouldn't hate that hire either. Those are the two, though. I feel like it has to be one of those two, and I'm fine with either.
I agree with you, Sage. I mean, in all honesty, it seems like Robert Saleh, but if they hire Lou Anarumo, I have no problem with that. The reality is we know that Shanahan wants to stick with that wide nine. He said, they asked him at the press conference, they said, are you willing to get away from the wide nine? He's like, yeah, if somebody wants to come in, they want to match our personnel with a different kind of scheme, that works. But he also did mention a couple times how much he likes the wide nine, so
he said when it's at its peak, it's unstoppable.
Yeah. So I have a feeling he's not going to try to get off that. But Sage, there was a lot of shit that was said at this end of season press conference.
30 minutes of content gold in there.
It really was with Shanahan and John Lynch. Sage, I know that the Niners community is split between whether or not they want to sign Brock Purdy. We had a heated debate about it. It seems like the Niners are not debating it right now. John Lynch just went out and said, quote, Brock's our guy. Shanahan, I plan on him being the quarterback here as long as I'm here. So I know a lot of people don't want to give that big contract to Brock. They don't want to pay him $60 million. Brock brought up right after the game, right on that Monday, he said, he kind of gave signs that he's not going to go to OTAs unless he has a contract. Sage, it seems like they're going to get the deal done. They said Brock Purdy's their guy. I think they're going to ink him to a big deal. I think they're going to do it soon.
Yeah, Shanny, I have the quotes here. I love Brock. He called him a stud. Said he'll be here as long as I'm here. He could win a Super Bowl. We almost did it with him last year.
Any bullshit, or I completely believe them when they say that.
I 100% believe him. I 110% believe him. I think he thinks he could have won a Super Bowl with Jimmy G, though. So I do believe him in a sense. Because, I mean, what's to lead you to believe that it can't happen? Brock played fine in that Super Bowl. You literally had the lead in overtime. The last time Brock Purdy saw the field in overtime, his team had the lead, and it just came down to the defense couldn't stop Patrick Mahomes. No one can stop Patrick Mahomes except Big Game Lou. But back to the point. I'm not anti-Brock. I don't want it to seem like I'm anti-Brock. I just think he's not worth top of the market dollars. I just think bad organizations do bad things. You pay a guy who's not the top guy money, and that's when you kind of hamstring yourself. I was just saying, like, Happy Gilmore, the price got to be right. If the price is $65 million, the price is wrong, bitch. Like, I do not want to cough up that. I don't want to cough up that much money to a guy who I don't think is top 10 on a week-to-week basis. Like, I think at his very best, he's a top 10 quarterback, but the consistency's dropped off. The numbers without McCaffrey have dropped off. The numbers since that Ravens game on Christmas 2 years ago has dropped off. You saw it with Jordan Love this year. You see it with guys like Jalen Hurts. You have that 1 year, and then defensive sort of start to figure it out. I just want to see one more year before they pay him. I want to see how he responds to it. Like, I think that, like, if you ask the Packers right now, I think part of them kind of maybe regrets a little bit giving Love that contract without seeing it for one more year. You think he gets that same money after this year? Kind of seemed like they started to succeed when they went away from passing the ball and started running it. I think the same thing with Brock. Need the run game, need the pieces. Should he be the highest paid quarterback in the league? I disagree. I would still love to have him as a quarterback. For my money's worth, he's the best Niners quarterback in my lifetime. It's not even close. I wouldn't want to just see that guy walk out the door.
I mean, Sage, this is what I'm going to say. Dak Prescott is getting paid $60 million a year. Dak Prescott has how many playoff wins? What is it, 2? Never made it to an NFC Championship game.
And I don't even know the other one.
Yeah, I think he has 2. So when you just look at the fact that Dak Prescott's getting $60 million, Brock Purdy's about to get a contract, I get it. It's a tough pill to swallow to pay Brock Purdy probably $65 million a year. But if you just look at the market, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's what's going to happen every time. I know, but you know that it's right too. But every time a quarterback gets a contract, it's going to be market record setting. Right.
100%.
And you brought it up. I mean, a lot of people have been bringing up the same take as you, that you want him to play this year and then prove it. They have no intention of getting rid of Brock Purdy. They said he's the quarterback of the future. Shanahan said that as long as Shanahan's there, Brock's going to be his quarterback. So why not sign him this year? The price may just go up $5-10 million if you do it next year. So like you said, we've had this conversation many times, but it seems like they confirmed it. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow, but the Niners are going to pay Brock Purdy, and it's probably going to break the record, right?
Chase, a little story. We didn't have the podcast. If you're the guy, I'm not going to root against you. Like you're on my team. You're my guy. It ends here. Like there's no more debate. Like Brock's the guy. I'm going to back him no matter what. I'm going to make those arguments for him.
You got to get in the foxhole. Right now.
I'm in, Chase. You know I'm a foxhole guy. I was the biggest anti-Trey Lance guy throughout that entire draft process. As soon as they drafted him, I became the Trey Lance guy because I'm just going to root for the guys on my team. I will give you credit
for that. You hung on to Trey Lance a little longer than most. I will say that.
Yeah. But I'm just going to hold on to what I saw last year and just think or pray, I guess, that this year was the outlier, that there was a lot of injuries. You can't replace a guy like CMC. You can damn well not replace a guy like Trey Williams. You can't replace Brandon Ayuk. I like the pieces around it. I like what I see from the young guys. You give him next year. Hopefully he's willing to play out this contract. And then next year, if he earns it, he earns it. Like I said with Lamar and the Ravens, he earned that contract. But when they paid him, they had no regrets because they knew they had their guy. I'm hoping a similar situation with Purdy, especially because the injuries are kind of a bit more concerning than any of the weather or any of that other shit.
So, Sage, you brought up a couple guys that are irreplaceable for the 49ers. They did have a couple conversations
about you. This is a professional.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, hey, this shit ain't just a hobby, Sage. What can I say? But they did make a couple comments about some moves that they're about to make. We all know what happened a couple weeks ago with Javon Hargrave's contract. They basically restructured it to set it up where the 49ers wouldn't take as much of a hit, and Javon Hargrave would be free to go wherever on June 1st. So basically, John Lynch confirmed that they're going to release Javon Hargrave. They're going to let go of this contract. They did open the door and say maybe
weirdly
at a better price we could bring Javon back. I think they're just trying to soften the blow. I think Javon Hargrave has probably fucked the 49ers right now, if I had to guess. I don't think he's the biggest fan of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch after they did that. But, Sage, a couple other things. I mean, really quickly, Dre Greenlaw, a lot of people got up in their panties about the Sydney Warner Instagram post where she brought up how she threw a party for Dre Greenlaw's wife, and she said that my best friend's leaving, like free agency sucks. Shanahan and Lynch were basically like, we haven't heard anything. Like, we literally just did meetings with the coaches, with the players for 2 days. Like, we're still trying to sign Dre Greenlaw. So to all the people who are maybe scared looking at that post thinking that Dre Greenlaw's gone, that's not the case at all.
Dude, I thought that was hilarious. Shanahan just seemed so, because he knew exactly what the reporter was like referring to. He knew exactly where the source came from. He's like, yeah, like this is news to us. Like, what the hell does Fred Warner's wife know that I don't know? And I'm the head coach of the team. It's dumb. I think they're going to make it a priority. Dude, they saw what this defense looked like. You don't have Azeez Al-Shaair. You have guys like Devondre Campbell, Flanagan Fowles. You have D Winners. These are your guys backing him up. They saw what that defense was for those 6 quarters with Dre Greenlaw. They're going to prioritize. They're going to do everything in their power to sign this guy back. I guarantee it.
Underrated, pretty funny. When Shanahan was asked about that, I don't know if you picked up on this, Sage. He was like, yeah, I mean, women, family get emotional after like a situation like this. He was basically like, all right, like, guys, I get it, but like, we know that women could get a little bit emotional at times. Like, we're still going to try to sign Dre Greenlaw. And he was like, there's a lot of uncertainty when you don't know where you're going. So
it's like,
that was funny. Looking back, like Shanahan had to stop himself for a second. He's like, okay, maybe this isn't the best thing to say.
Wayne D from South Park, that bitches be tripping, man.
basically in the most Kyle Shanahan way, you turned into Wayne D for a second. But say this was interesting. This was interesting because if you took it at face value, they basically said that Deebo Samuel was going to say. John Lynch was asked about it. He said, we're not in the business of getting rid of good players. Deebo's a good player. Is this positioning to try to trade Deebo, or do we actually think that they're like, why the hell would we get rid of Deebo? He's going to be staying. He's going to be on the Niners in 2025.
I really want them to bring Deebo back. I mean, I don't know what his trade value would be. I think I'd rather have
you want to say, do you want to bring him back? We literally said this guy was dead 2 weeks ago.
Chase, I saw some in those last 2 weeks.
Stop. Don't do this. Don't do this, Sage. Are you tired?
Just when I thought I was out. But I'm just going to say, bro, like, I think, okay, you have Ricky. Ricky looks ready to go. Ricky showed me something those last 2 weeks. You have Ayuk coming back. CMC, Jawan Jennings. You have Kittle. Can you talk me into Deebo Samuel being the 6th option on this team? 1000%. Can you talk me into him being just like the Louis Vuitton of Cordarrelle Patterson, just like a luxury at the gadget spot? You 100% could. You could put him at punt returner. Maybe he's a good punt returner. Maybe you put him at kick return. He's been a good kick returner. I think Deebo maybe got a wake-up call this season. That Rams game, I mean, after that Rams game, he really locked in. He played his best ball of the season. I think he realizes he wants to still be that guy. Deebo has an ego to him. You see it on Instagram. You see the way he posts. He's carrying the boombox. He can't be Deebo Samuel. He can't be this guy, and then that's his play on the field. He knows. I think he's going to lock in this year. I really think that as long as he's not, like the bell cow running back like Shanahan tries to make him be, you don't put the fucking whole game plan around him. I think Deebo is still useful on this team. Like, I really liked what I saw with him week, of course, 17 when it didn't matter. But I think financially, it doesn't make sense to move off him. You're not going to get a good trade asset from him. So you might as well just keep him and hope he could turn it around. And if not, then you cut ties next year and that's it. Like we said, the Super Bowl window now, I think, is 1 year. I think you have 1 year to really do it.
Sage, if anything, I think that this next year is going to be a rebuilding year, similar to what we saw with the Bills coming into this year. I mean, I don't know. Did you get captured and did they go into your mind and switch things around? A couple weeks ago, you wanted Deebo gone as possible. I get what you're saying. Deebo,
it was frustrating to stomach it when he's the whole game plan around around that Rams game, right? It's just like Shanahan's so infatuated him. Shanahan loves him. I need less cowbell. I need less Deebo Samuel. Just give me a little bit less. Make him just a part of the game plan, not the game plan. And I think it'll work. I think he still has something left in him. And if you're gonna win a Super Bowl, then I guess you have to ride with your guys.
Sage, this is what I'm gonna say. I would rather have Ricky Pearsall on the field than Deebo Samuel. I'd rather have Jawan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk on the field over Deebo Samuel. What the hell are we going to do with the 4th wide receiver who's getting paid $20 million a year? We know. I mean, we saw it this year. Kyle's going to have a hard time getting rid of him. It's like that. What movie did you bring up? I Can't Quit You. I Can't Quit You. It seems like that's going on with Kyle Shanahan and Deebo Samuel. We saw some stuff where obviously he tweeted out that he's not getting the ball. He's been causing issues. I mean, the Jake Moody stuff. Don't you just want to maybe – what's wrong with getting a 5th-round pick for Deebo and just shipping it off saying, hey, Deebo, good luck to you. We have 3 good wide receivers. Let's open up some cap space. Build up a little bit on that O-line, D-line. I get it. In a perfect world, Deebo's cool with maybe getting 20 snaps a game as the wide receiver 4. I don't see that working. I'm sorry. Deebo Samuel doesn't look like the personality that will just take the back seat when he's 28 years old. Call me crazy.
I'll say this. The Jake Moody thing I forgive him for because I think any 49ers fan would want to do that themselves. It's not like he did it to Brock Purdy. It's not like he pulled a Kelsey, did it to Shanahan, right? Going after your coach. He went after a guy who's, let's be honest, screwed the team over, right? Come on.
So you're saying it's okay because he went after Jake Moody?
Bro, yeah, that guy was actively screwing the team over. I mean, it was like a double agent, right? Who's that Russian spy? I'm blanking on the name right now, but that's basically who he was.
What Russian spy? Brittany Griner?
No, not Brittany Griner.
The merchant of death?
No. Anyways.
In a movie? Are we talking in a movie or real life?
In real life.
Oh, I haven't heard about this.
Anyways. Soviet spies. All right, I can't find it. Anyways.
All right, yeah, chat, if you could help out with that. Soviet spies, yeah, go ahead, Sage.
But I'm just saying, that guy was a sabotage to the team. He wasn't providing anything to the team. So he was actively losing you games. He sucks. He's a 3rd-round pick. He's gone, right? That's the last piece to this. Is Schneider's gone. Sorensen's gone. I got to see Jake Moody gone. And then the triangle's complete. We could have high vibes. We could build from this, Jace. Hard times make hard men. Soft times make soft men.
Yeah, hard times make hard men. No, hard.
Yeah, it is. It's hard times make hard men. Yes.
Hard men make soft times. Soft times make soft men.
Hard men make soft times.
Okay.
Anyways, we're in the hard times era. They're cutting ties. There's no loyalty. Last year we were in our soft times era. So I just think we're moving in the right direction here. And he's
you brought up Brian Schneider a little bit, Sage. I think the funniest part of the press conference, so it was Tim Kawakami. So Tim Kawakami prefaced the question. He's like, so Kyle, you brought up with the kicker when you brought in a couple kickers to compete with Jake Moody that you didn't watch the kicks. we know that you really don't pay a lot of attention to special teams. And then Kyle literally stopped in mid-sentence. He was like, wait, hold on. He's like, what do you mean I don't care about special teams? And John Lynch jumped right in and was like, Kyle spends an inordinate amount of time with special teams compared to the rest of the coaches in the league. And yeah, basically Shanahan got pissed at Kawakami. He was like,
it seems like
he was like, I just didn't want to BS you guys. He's like, wow. He's like, you turned that around on me. Like, fuck you, bro. So Tim Kawakami probably not going to get the best treatment from Kyle Shanahan moving forward after that one.
It's so funny watching these press conferences. Like, you could see the guys he doesn't like, Grant Cohn, and like the guys he's really likes, like Mayoko. You could tell he really likes Kruger, like the guys he actually gives like a good answer to. Yeah, Tim Kawakami might be on the shit list. I did think it was funny. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like a sensitive subject for Kyle. Like, it's taboo, right? Like we see with
Kyle doesn't like getting criticized. Whenever you criticize Kyle, he's going to come at you with fucking everything he's got.
And I think that the special teams thing kind of hits a chord with him because of how bad the Niners have been and how they just can't figure it out. But he has said it. He said, like, I don't watch the special teams. Like, we pay guys to make kicks. Like,
but they brought up a good point. Like, what the fuck does Kyle Shanahan know about kicking? He's just gonna go to the special teams coordinator and be like, you know this shit better than me. What'd you think? And
you think it was a Schneider?
As we know now, Brian Schneider's gone, so he probably wasn't the best guy to trust. But it seems like Shanahan is the guy who puts a lot of fucking time into this job. I know every NFL head coach does, but it seems like Shanahan obsesses maybe a little bit about this stuff. I think when Kawakami brought up, he's like, you don't care about special teams. He's like, wait, hold on. Stop right fucking there. That's not true.
No, I mean, do you think Moody was a Schneider pick? Like, he's going to be the fall guy for this? Like you said, like what in your mind would make you think like Kyle jumped and was like, we got to get this kicker in the third round? Like, it's kind of funny because you go from Robbie Gould, you want stability, and then you go to a third round pick, right? You go to like a kicker who's a rookie.
So they brought that up. It was Schneider.
It was, right?
Schneider did an evaluation. I think, yeah, it had to be. So Schneider did an evaluation. He said that he trusted his assessment.
Yeah.
Put a lot of investment into the special teams by drafting Jake Moody in the third round. So Schneider kind of fucked us both ways. He got the special teams all fucked up, and he convinced Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch to take a third round pick on Jake Moody. So if anybody's the Soviet double agent, it may be actually that guy. Maybe not even Jake Moody.
No, I agree. I want to address something in the comments. Is that fine?
Yeah,
right?
Go ahead. Let's go.
Tommy, Kyle had a terrible year. The play calling was god awful. 16 pass plays in a row. That was a game they had no intention of winning. They just wanted to see what they had with Brock. That's all they wanted to do. They wanted to evaluate him as a passer. They didn't want to win the game. They just kind of threw a bunch of shit at him. So I don't think that was necessarily on Kyle because you didn't see that in any of the meaningful games. You just kind of saw it at the end when that was the Dolphins game, right? That was
the Lions game.
Or the Lions game. Yeah, the Lions game in the second half. They weren't trying to win that game, right? I think that they were getting a lead there. They saw what the Lions were doing, and they just said, you know what, we're just going to pass. I get they had control of that game in the first half, but they didn't want to win. They didn't want to win. They want to see what they had with their guy. They want to see how they could attack the Lions defense with Brock. So I don't think that's on Kyle, really.
Also, the defense was getting ran through like $5 TJ, like a $5 TJ hooker. So yeah. I think you just had to pass the ball. I don't think you could try to set up the run game when Detroit score on every single possession. But shout out Tommy. I like people get into the comment section.
Yeah, we'll see you in the chat.
Anything else? I mean, Sage, maybe just really quickly before we head into the wildcard talk. It seemed like Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch thought we have the team. Maybe we need to make a couple of adjustments, but a lot of people are questioning, is this Niners team, do they actually have a shot to make it back to where we saw them last year, get back to the Super Bowl, get back to making a deep playoff run? Seems like Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch think that. What do you think, and do you think they actually believe that?
I do think they believe it. I wholeheartedly think they could get to the Super Bowl. I would be the biggest fool if I didn't believe that, because look at how they're spending. Look at the moves they're making. Look at how they're assessing the situation around them with Brock, with these skill guys, the vets, cutting Hargrave. They're trying to win a Super Bowl. They think they can win a Super Bowl. Are you asking me if I think they can win a Super Bowl?
Well, so this is what I'll say. Because I think the biggest topic is, are they actually going to keep Deebo Samuel, or do they realize that they need to reshuffle this team a little bit? They need to get guys like Debo off the books, and they're just trying to position for trade value. I think that was me coming out of that press conference. That's what I was wondering. I'm like, do they actually think that they could just roll back basically the same entire squad, maybe draft a couple guys on the D-line, O-line, and they'll be good to go? It sounded like it, but there's part of me that thinks that they know they have to make some adjustments, and they're just not going to say it right away because it's 4 days after the season. They're probably going to have to trade some assets to get back some stuff. So, I don't know. Maybe they're just, not showing their cards right away. That's what I think.
Exactly. You got to play a little bit of chess with this. You got to have Debo Samuel guessing as well. I mean, do we know? I honestly have no lean on the situation. If he was gone, I do have a lean, actually. I think he's going to stay. I don't think they're going to get rid of him. But if he was gone by June 1st or whatever the day is, I'm not shocked. Like, I'm just not shocked.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with that, Sager. Even though we've been talking about the Niners for 30 minutes, Sage, it's all NFL playoffs this week, right?
Yeah,
it's all NFL playoffs.
The Niners till March.
Yeah, we don't have to focus on the Niners till March. But now we're going to jump in. We're going to talk about every wildcard game coming up this weekend, Sager. Saturday, Sunday, I love how they have it on both days. We're going to give against the spread picks for all 6 of them. So, Sage, you want to just start off with the first one on that Saturday at 1 o'clock?
Yes, sir. We got the
Chargers. Hopefully my boy Mitch is in the chat, resident Chargers fan, but we have the Chargers take on the Texans. So the Chargers are coming in 11-6. The Jim Harbaugh, Justin Herbert combination has been money so far. They're favored by 2.5 against the Texans in Houston. Sage, there's a lot of hype around the Chargers thinking that they could, potentially make a deep playoff run. On the other side, the Texans. CJ Stroud was the belle of the ball last year. A lot of people have been kind of shitting on him this year, questioning DeMeco Ryans, but they do have a home playoff game right now. So what's your take on this game heading into it?
I don't know. Like, these are two teams that I just couldn't put my thumb on all year. I feel like they're both so hot and cold. As the year went on, I bought less and less into the Texans. And with the Chargers at the end, they kind of tied it together where they just showed to me, right, that maybe it was just the injuries in the middle of the season, right? You lose Ladd McConkey, you lose J.K. Dobbins. The offense doesn't look the same. The defense gets had a couple of weeks, but as they got together at the end, like, I started to fall back in love with this Chargers team. What do I love about them, Chase? Identity, culture. It starts at the top. They have a quarterback who doesn't make mistakes. They have a coach who just wants to run the ball and play defense. It's a great recipe. It's a great recipe to take on the road. It travels. Defense travels. No turnovers travel. The run game travels. So I like the Chargers. That's my lean on this game. I like the Chargers from what I've seen. Nothing has inspired confidence with me in this Texans team. I think DeMeco Ryans and that defense show up, but I'm just nervous about that Texans offense because they haven't showed up in weeks.
So, yeah, I mean, the Texans right here, I don't think they haven't scored over 30 points since October 13th, right? We know what happened in that Chiefs game. Tank Dell broke probably every single part of his leg in that game. Stephon Diggs is out for the rest of the year. When you look at the Chargers, they're on a 3-game winning streak. They're just starting to hum. We just brought up how the Texans offense is struggling to put up points. This offense has put up 34 and over the past 3 weeks. We know they're dominant on both lines of scrimmages. I trust Jesse Minter on defense. He's been running a very effective unit. First-ranked scoring defense in the league. And Justin Herbert, I would take him any day of the week over CJ Stroud. So I'm definitely leaning Chargers here. But what I will say is, Sage, I've seen this Chargers offense, and I'm not fully convinced because I know that J.K. Dobbins is coming back, but the Texans do have Derek Stingley. And I feel like if you put Derek Stingley on the one pass option that they have, basically, with Ladd McConkey, DeMeco Ryans is a great defensive mind. I trust that he's going to try to stop that run game of the Chargers. If you have one of the best cornerbacks in the league on Ladd McConkey, that's going to limit him. So part of me thinks that the Texans are still going to stay in this game. Even though I trust Harbaugh more than DeMeco, I think that DeMeco has something up his sleeve and is going to stop this Chargers offense a little bit.
I do think it's going to be low scoring. That's why I do like the points in this situation.
Oh, the under is the play here for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think the Chargers are the better team, and the Texans have failed me one too many times for me to trust them in a playoff game.
And something else.
That defense, you could say what you want about that defense, but they played 2 of the top 10 offenses in the league back-to-back weeks, and they looked awful. One at home against the Ravens. That had to be one of the most embarrassing losses of the season.
It was, 31-2.
Yeah. And then your offense can't move the ball all game. You're bringing that same offense to this Saturday. And then the game against the Chiefs, where you basically were never in it, you're crying because your guy gets injured. Your team doesn't look the same after. So I don't know. I just can't trust the Texans, man. Nothing with Stroud or with this offense is inspiring anything. Where the Chargers, like, I think their defense could show up any given Sunday. This instant Saturday, their offense could show up. I just trust that. I trust their pedigree more.
What's tough too for the Texans is that the strength on their defense is the two edge rushers. You got Will Anderson and then you got Danielle Hunter. But Sage,
exactly.
The Chargers have Rashawn Slater. They have Joe Alt. So it seems like they're going to be able to neutralize that strength for the Texans, even though I'm not fully convinced on the Chargers offense. I'm sorry. I never will be until maybe they beat the Texans and then go upset the Chiefs. So I feel like there is a way that the Texans could stop them a little bit. But Sage, when it comes to picking this game against the spread, the fact that it's 2.5, I love it. I love the Chargers here. If you win by a field goal, you get the win. So for me, I'm going with the Chargers to advance. I'm going with the Chargers to cover here.
I like it. I guess we're on the same one. We're on the same side for this one.
Okay, so you're going Chargers as well?
Chargers as well. Chargers minus 2.5. I love getting it under a field goal.
So for the next game, Sater, this is going to be the Amazon game. That's going to be on Saturday night. We predicted this was going to be the Sunday night game. I'm kind of shocked that they put this in at Saturday night, but you had that classic AFC North matchup. I didn't think we would get this in the first round, but you had the Steelers taking on the Ravens. The Ravens have been humming as of late, but they did have a big injury, Sage. Zay Flowers. Lamar Jackson has been head-to-head with Josh Allen the entire year, but part of me thinks that this is a way bigger loss than a lot of people are thinking for the Ravens. I really do. I'm scared for this Ravens offense now that there's no Zay Flowers.
Oh, I 100% agree. It reminds me of Jalen Hurts when he doesn't have A.J. Brown, right? They had one game last year without Zay Flowers against the Steelers at home. They lost 10-17. I just think he changed that offense. He brings speed. You can't cover him one-on-one. When you do, you get burned. That's what happens. Zay Flowers, great route runner. He has somewhat reliable hands, and he's Lamar's go-to guy. So you take that out of the offense in a 1-week situation where they haven't adjusted. They haven't seen what their offense looks like it. Can they rebound? Can they run the ball? Yes, they can. But the Steelers are going to know to prep for that. The Steelers got embarrassed on the ground. It's more so how will Lamar respond? And what makes me nervous is in these playoff games, he just doesn't show up. We know what Lamar is in the playoffs, and it's concerning.
I mean, Sage, you got it right here. So Lamar in the regular season, 70-24, 166 touchdowns, 49 interceptions, averages 1,000 rushing yards a season, 5 touchdowns. In the playoffs, he's 2-4. In 6 games, he has 6 total passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 75.7 rating, only 3 rushing touchdowns, right? So you have that factor where Lamar, maybe teams defend Lamar a little bit differently. He struggles to become the Lamar that we've seen throughout the regular season. Also, Sage, I mean, he has some issues going up against the Steelers, too.
100%.
So he's 2-4 going up against the Steelers as well. So he's 2-4 in the playoffs, 2-4 against the Steelers. We brought up in that last game where they played about 3 weeks ago, the ball really didn't bounce the Steelers' way. I thought that they had a way better chance to be in that game. Russell Wilson fumbled on the 5. I think there were a couple other turnovers that could have happened for the Steelers. So I really like Steelers here. I feel like I'm taking the points here with the Steelers, which I never thought I'd say.
Chase, it's funny. I remember after that last game, they kicked the shit out of Pittsburgh, and we both had the Ravens, and we came away. We're like, if anything, like this inspired less confidence in the Ravens. Like they got every bounce. They looked like shit. The Steelers' offense is awful, but there's something about the Ravens. You just can't trust them. You just can't trust them. It's like something with them, and now you put them in a playoff situation. What's interesting, though, is you have Mike Tomlin in the playoffs versus playoff Lamar. Something's got to give, but, man, I just feel like we're getting free points here. Like I feel like Vegas is underestimating what the Steelers team was the first 10 weeks and just looking at the last 3 weeks. TJ Watt.
I mean, that is pretty important. The last 3 weeks.
It is. The Ravens got hot at the end, but TJ Watt last game, clean slate, first time in his career, no tackles, no sacks, no pressures. First time in his career. He's due for a bounce back game. The Steelers got embarrassed, right, on paper last time that they played the Ravens. They've owned the Ravens historically. Now you got Lamar. Did you hear his interview when they asked him about his playoff struggles? He said, I get antsy. He said, I get antsy before playoff games. He said, I can't lie, I get antsy. That doesn't inspire any confidence.
I mean, what I will say about Lamar, maybe not the biggest vocabulary coming out of Lamar, but he's very honest, and I think that's why people like him. I mean, he kind of has that charming factor to him. Everybody gets antsy before the playoff stage. I mean, come on. Everybody does. Probably even Tom Brady did back in the day. I get that you don't like it, but it seems like it's just the truth.
I feel like when someone asks you though about it, you don't say like, yeah, you know what? I do get nervous. Like I do get antsy. I get anxious is what he said. But
I throw up before every playoff game.
like 9.5 is just too many points. Like it almost feels like a sucker bet, but I'm taking the Steelers too. Like it's just too many points to swallow. Like I think they could win the game. They already beat this team. Historically, they have their number, and you have the Lamar playoff factor. You have George Pickens looking for a bounce back game. It seems like they're going to try and use Justin Fields a little more. I think the clock struck 0 on Mr. Unlimited. Maybe you try and, go with your other quarterback, run the ball a little bit better this game, go with Jalen Ward instead of Najee. Some of those turnovers, I mean, what was it? The Ravens fumbled the ball 3 times last time. They recovered all 3. Maybe the ball bounces your way. Maybe you recover a little bit more of those. Steelers plus 9.5. Don't like it. I love it.
Well, this is what I'm going to say, Sage. I think
easiest teaser play of the weekend is the Steelers.
The teaser play of the weekend
is the Steelers. Getting them up to
don't fucking include me in that teaser. And this is what I'm going to say, Sage. I mean, they've lost 4 games in a row. And even though I'm going with the Steelers plus 9.5, just because I feel like I have to in like a tight AFC North matchup, can't you see Russell Wilson just having the worst game ever? Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry are running all around. And the Ravens at home just take care of business and beat up on the Steelers team that we all know are frauds.
No, I can't see it.
The reason I'm taking the Steelers is that it's an AFC North matchup. You got Mike Tomlin on your side, right? I criticize Mike Tomlin because everybody gives him credit for going 9-8, 8-9. What I will say, I think his team's going to compete. I think they're going to keep it close. Even if they're up 2 touchdowns, the Ravens, maybe you get a backdoor cover at the end of it. A lot can happen when you have 9.5 points on your side. So I'm going with Steelers. I don't love it. I'm not going to lie. I don't love it, but laying 9.5 with the Ravens with no Zay Flowers, a little scary for me. So I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Okay. Oh, you're going with the Ravens?
All right, next game. I kind of wish we had our boy.
You're going with the Ravens? You said you're going with the Ravens?
Oh, no, sorry. Steelers 9.5.
Okay.
I'd be scared to go with the Ravens. All
right, I'm jotting these down. So we're 2 for 2, or we're on the same page for both.
We're on the same page for both. I didn't think that was going to happen, honestly. But Sage, I think this one's where we're going to differ. But you got the Broncos taking on the Bills in Buffalo. Josh Allen seems like he's destined to be the MVP. The Broncos beat the shit out of the Chiefs 38-0. I know that it was no Pat Mahomes, but the Broncos have been a solid team all year. Buffalo, they locked up the 2 seed. Was it last week or a couple weeks ago? So
2 weeks ago, yeah.
They've been coasting a little bit, but you got to say that Josh Allen's the most dangerous player in the NFL. They're at home, so you got to be feeling good if you're a Buffalo Bills fan.
100%. I mean, this was probably the matchup you wanted most of everyone who made the playoffs. They match up with the Broncos, I think, really well. You got Bo Nix coming from Denver, going to Buffalo. It's supposed to be bad weather. I think that favors the Bills mightily. The Broncos, who struggle to run the ball. The Bills, who could run the ball with their quarterback. They got James Cook. We saw those 3 running backs. Ray Davis, Ty Johnson. They're good at that quick pass game. I mean, Niners fans saw it firsthand, like what they could do in that Buffalo snow. So I think everything's just like moving towards the Bills' favor. Because when I first saw that line, I was just like, damn, like they're giving the Broncos no respect. And then I saw, what do the Bills do well? They could run the ball. They could hit you with that short pass game. They could expose that Broncos defense because they don't have a CeeDee Lamb. They don't have a Jamar Chase, right? Like Pat Surtain is probably going to be on Amari Cooper, or he's going to be on Keon Coleman. You know what they're going to do? They're going to attack him with Khalil Shakir. They're going to go at Dawson Knox. They're going to go with Kincaid.
That is a good point.
James Cook. Like the thing about the Bills is they kind of remind me of that Chiefs team last year where they don't really have a go-to guy. They just could spread the ball around. So I think that advantages the Bills. And on top of that, you have the MVP in the league. He can run the ball. He can pass the ball. He can do whatever he wants. He knows how to play in that snow. It's Bo Nix on the road. So you could probably tell by the tone of my voice what I'm saying. I really like the Bills here. I like the Bills minus 8.5. I think the bad weather favors them, even with the points.
Why? I mean, it's the Broncos. They're a cold weather team too.
I know, but it's snow. I feel like the snow's different. Bo's a Southern guy.
You're a West Coast guy. We're supposed to support our fucking West Coast teams and not just crown these.
You saw what happened with Purdy.
Oh, it's cold weather. These West Coast teams can't handle it. They're fucking from Denver.
True,
they can handle some cold, man.
Okay, but you know it's true. It does.
No, I don't think it's true, Sage. And I'm going on the opposite end with you. I got the Broncos.
Okay,
I got the Broncos. I mean, they've been my honeypot all year. They're the 3rd-ranked defense. What I will say is that Josh Allen's going to find a way to score points. I get they have Pat Surtain. They got great edge rushers, Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper. But Josh Allen's been a monster all year. He's a complete alien. He's the MVP. He's the best quarterback in the league. He's going to find a way to score points. But Sage, Bo Nix, I
Oh,
mean,
Knicks.
almost 4,000 yards passing, 29 touchdowns, 12 picks, 430 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. This guy has been such a solid rookie. And when you look at the Bills, their defense sucks. I mean, let's be honest. They gave up 44 to the Rams, 42 to the Lions. We all watched that Patriots game where they went down 14-0 right away. That defense for the Bills was getting carved up. They were. You saw it. They were getting carved up. Then Ramondre Stevenson started to fuck around a little bit, had a couple fumbles right around the 1 yard line that got returned for a touchdown. All I'm saying is this defense is very susceptible. You got Sean Payton calling plays for the Broncos.
That does make me nervous, just the coaching.
Everybody has been underrating this Broncos team. They look at the talent that's on the team. They say, I don't know how they're going to score points against this team. Bo Nix, the Broncos always get it done. This is Bill's game. I mean, they're at home. This is Josh Allen's year. They're going to win the game. But if you're giving me 8.5 points, I think the Broncos find a way to make it a one-score game. So too many points for me. I got the Broncos plus 8.5. I'm going with my honeypot stage. I got to, right?
No, I got to respect it. What were they? I think they were 12-4 against the spread, or 12-5, whatever the math is. One of the best teams against the spread this year. Broncos have been good, man. I just think Bo Nix on the road. I mean, you kind of saw it in big games, right? Like the Bills show up. They showed up against the Chiefs. I mean, against the Ravens, you could say they didn't. But at the end of the year, that Lions game, the Rams game, like the offense is going to show up. I think it just comes down to what the Bills can do. So I said I like the weather. The weather inspires confidence that I think that they'll be able to stop the Broncos because they're going to have to run the ball more. What scares me is Bo Nix is a check down artist. So like he's good with the short pass game in those cold weather situations. It makes me a bit nervous, but we'll see, man. Like I'm just going to trust Josh Allen and the rookie quarterback on the road for a playoff game.
One day you guys are going to find out. One day you guys are going to find out about Bo Nix. I don't know if it's on Sunday at Orchard Park.
What, that he killed someone
against Josh Allen
O.J. Simpson? Is that what we're going to find out?
What?
What do you mean we're going to find out?
We're going to find out that Bo Nix is a good fucking quarterback and all this check down artist. And I don't know, you got Bo Nix on the road.
The stats inspire it.
If it wasn't for Jane Daniels and Drake May looking so good, Bo Nix would be a way bigger story. I mean, if Caleb was doing this shit and led the Bears to a 10-7 year and had 29 touchdowns, everybody would be slobbing on his knob.
Led the Bears to 10-7.
It's Bo Nix. They're in a smaller market in Denver, so nobody gives them the love. But don't worry, Bo. I see ya. People are going to see too. But anything else for that game, Sager?
No, that's it for me there.
So I think this next game that we're going to talk about is probably the game that I had the least read on. I mean,
100%. We don't even know who the fuck's playing.
I mean, we got the Eagles taking on the Packers. The Eagles are -4.5 at home stage. I mean, that line scares me because when I think about this game, the Eagles have been humming all year. This defense that started out the year as probably being the biggest question mark for this team is turning into their strength. You have Saquon Barkley. He didn't break the record, but if they would have played him in Week 17, he would have broke the rushing record. He's been on fire. You got weapons like A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. You got the best O-line in football. Jalen Hurts has been doing great. So this Eagles team has just been dominating everybody. If it wasn't for the Lions just going on a tear the entire year, they would have had home field advantage. Then they're only favored by 4.5 points on the road to a Green Bay team who has 2 losses in a row, one to the Bears, one in that big game to the Vikings. So, Sage, I'll be honest with you. This was the toughest one to pick for me all week.
It's funny because it was until it wasn't for me. I just felt like I was going so back and forth on it when I first saw the line. And then it just came to me. I'm like, dude, I feel like this is so obvious. I don't know. I just think you saw it with Brock. Like Jordan Love suffered the exact same injury that Brock did, and he couldn't play for 2 weeks. He still hasn't thrown a ball really since he suffered it. Jordan Love, the same thing happened. They said today he had elbow soreness. He was limited in practice. I don't think that's bullshit. Like I think he's compromised. So what are they going to have to do? They're going to have to lean on the run. Who's the best run defense in the league? I mean, or one of the best run defenses in the league, Philly. They already played. Who won? Philly. And that's when Philly's defense was kind of shitty.
Jordan Love did get injured, and so that's the thing. Jordan Love got injured.
He might not play.
The game was in fucking Brazil. I don't know how much we could really take from that.
No, the turf screwed that game up. But I mean, you saw it, right? Like they got everything they wanted with AJ, with Saquon. And then it hits me. AJ Brown gets hurt yesterday. Doesn't practice today. Sunday.
He got hurt yesterday? I didn't even hear that.
He didn't practice today. They're saying he might not play Sunday. His status is in jeopardy. So it's been so back and forth because it was.
But it was 4.5 before that. It was 4.5 before that.
Yeah, it's still 4.5. Yeah, true. Well, it went from 3.5 Sunday to 5.5 Monday, and then Jalen Hurts doesn't clear concussion protocol, so it goes back down. clears it today. It stays the same. That's the other thing. Jalen Hurts hasn't seen the football field in 2.5 weeks. I just think I'm going to bet on these teams for their peak. And even at their peak, I'm going to go with the Eagles. And on top of that, I have a compromised Jordan Love on the other side, and they're going to be forced to run the ball. Philly's going to know their hand. I like Philly -4.5.
You know what? I think this may just be the media's last stand. I mean, we've been talking about it all year. Everybody in the media, Jordan Love.
Exactly.
Like Matt LaFleur, just the Packers are.
Yes, I think you had them 14-3.
Everybody's surprised Super Bowl
so
pick.
You don't escape this.
Well, hold on. I didn't say that they were going to win a fucking Super Bowl or make it to an NFC Championship game, but I like them coming into the year. I was really impressed with them after they lost that game to the 49ers, but it seems like the media is not accepting what we kind of know, Sage. Jordan Love is a little bit overrated, right? This defense, I think, is ranked top 10, but
it's bullshit.
When you look at it, you really don't see any major talent outside of Xavier McKinney, Rashawn Gary on the D-line. I just feel like the Packers are a little bit fraudulent. I don't think they've had a very impressive win all year. They beat up on some shitty teams. Didn't they go, what did they go, 2-4 in the NFC North?
No.
Maybe 1-5?
1-5. Yeah, they only beat the Bears once. And
they went 1-5 in the best division in football. I just don't trust this team. I don't trust Jordan Love. Do I trust Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts? Later in the playoffs, I'm not going to, but in this game, you got the Eagles at home. You got the link. You know that crowd's going to be rocking, Sage.
Exactly, that too.
They're going to be going fucking crazy. I got Philly -4.5. I think they win by, I'm saying double digits. I'm saying double digits win by Eagles. I think this line is way too low, in all honesty. I really do.
I think it's an ass kicking too. Like I said, it was so tough for me, and then it became so obvious. So I'm with you on this one. I think the Packers are going to struggle to move the ball all day.
I think so too. So this was a surprise Sunday night game for me. This was
Makes
a
no
surprise.
Sense.
It doesn't make
I don't
any
know
sense.
If they're trying to prop Baker, if they're trying to prop Jaden. I just thought there was no chance in hell. This felt like Monday Night Football from start to finish from what I saw the schedule.
I mean, yeah, you got the Commanders taking on the Buccaneers. I thought this was clearly the Monday night game. You had that Tampa Bay team that nobody really ever cares about. Jane Daniels has been the only thing that has had NFL fans care about the Washington football team in the past 15 years. But yeah, the Buccaneers are at home. They're -3. This is going to be on NBC. You're going to get Chris and Mike on the call. I almost said Alan Chris. Sorry. It was my entire childhood. But you're going to get Mike and Chris on the call. What's your initial impressions on this, Sage? I know that Baker's been killing it all year, but Jane Daniels is a rookie of the year. It seems like he's been a revelation in D.C.
Oh, I 100% agree. My lean from the start was always the Bucs. I just think it's going to land on the number. I'm going to go with the home team. Like I said, I'm going to fade the rookie quarterback on the road again. Even though I love Jaden, I love what I saw from him this year. I just think that offense at times could lay an egg. In big games this year, they didn't really show up, right? Those games against Philly. I think that offense can get shut down. You have a guy like Zion McCollum for the Bucs, lockdown corner. You're going to stick him on Terry McLaurin.
You're such a dick. You're such a dick.
I don't know where that came from, but I just think I trust Baker to expose that Washington defense. The Dan Quinn factor, he has playoff experience, but last time he was in the playoffs, his defense got destroyed. So I don't know, man. Like I don't buy into it. Like I don't buy into the Commanders as much as maybe other people. I think maybe this is a bit of a disrespectful line with what that Bucs offense could be. Their defense does scare me a bit, which is why the 3 I think is more in play. But I'm going to trust Baker. I'm going to trust the home team on Monday Night Football and fade the rookie quarterback going on the road. So I'm going to go with the Bucs -3.
You know what, Sage? I had Jane Daniels all year in fantasy, had Terry as well. So I was watching a lot of this Commanders team. This is what I will say. Their defense is not any good. This defense, I think, is going to get shredded by Baker and that Bucs offense. Evans. I mean, Liam Cullen, the name that nobody heard before the start of the year. Yeah, he's one of the hottest. He's one of the hottest names in football now. But they have a great O-line. They have weapons like Mike Evans. Cade Otton's been stepping up a little bit. I know that Chris Godwin's gone, but Sage, Bucky Irving's looking like one of the best young running backs in football. Baker Mayfield's having his best year, so I think that they're going to be able to score a lot of points on this Commanders team. What I will say is that what I've seen from Jane Daniels, I think this guy's matchup proof. I think he's nearing matchup proof territory where no matter what defense he plays, he's going to find a way to put up points. We saw it against Philly. That Philly defense is one of the best in the leagues. He lit them up for 36 points it was in Washington still, but that's still very impressive. But Sage, there's not enough around Jaden. That O-line is very average. You got Terry McLaurin. We all love him. But other than that, you don't have any really stars on offense for the Commanders. And this Commanders defense, like I said, sucks. I mean, they had the 29th rush D, 18th overall scoring defense. I just think the Bucs are a better overall team. I would take Jane Daniels over Baker Mayfield, but Baker just has a lot more around him. They're at home, so I'm going to go with the Bucs. I think that only having to cover 3 points is pretty solid. So I'm going to take it. I think this is top half of my bets for sure. This is one of the bets I'm feeling the most comfortable about.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, I just don't think there's enough around Jaden. It makes me a bit nervous because of how gettable this Bucs defense is, but the Commanders haven't been able to run the ball, right? All second half of the year. Brian Robinson just like disappeared. It just seems like it's been all on Jaden's shoulders. Sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. Thing is, Baker, man, he could be so hot, but he could be so cold. Like you saw it that first half against the Saints. That's why I'm not as confident in this one, but I'm going to go with the experienced quarterback, the guy who shows up in the playoffs, the guy who's done it for a long time. I mean, you got Mike Evans, like you said, Bucky Irving against that run defense. He could win the game for them himself. Jalen McMillan. I mean, it sucks that Chris Godwin had to get hurt for them to see.
Yeah, McMillan's good. McMillan's good, man.
But that guy's, I mean, he's a stud, bro. He came out of nowhere. I think he's a rookie, and just like, I don't know, he's kind of stolen the show. Right? He's kind of been their best wide receiver quietly the past 5 weeks. He's been their yards guy. He's been their go-to guy. You saw it against the Saints, had to have it plays. They went to him back-to-back times. So I just don't think the Bucs have enough to hold him. I don't think Marshawn Lattimore's doing much. Oh, wait, but we get the Marshawn Lattimore, Mike Evans matchup. That just came to mind, right? Marshawn Lattimore.
I got Mike Evans. I don't know. Does Marshawn Lattimore have anything left in the tank? He's been around for a while.
I think he had a pick last week or something, or 2 weeks ago. He had a big pick, but I don't trust him. Or was it the pick against Penix, your boy? That's what it was. I think
that might have been it. That might have been it. So we're both rolling with the Buccaneers -3. So
yeah, I'm surprised. I really thought you'd.
Do we have 4 games that are the same? We only have one that differed?
It's only Buffalo, so it seems like that's what it's going to come down to.
All right, so Sage, with this last game, the Monday night game, we had the Vikings taking on the Rams.
I think we're on the same side here as well.
The Vikings are -1.5. I don't know, Sage. I brought up how the Eagles line didn't make the most sense. This one, it makes sense. I know why people are thinking this. I'm just on the complete opposite side. Where are you on this one? A lot of people are giving the Rams a lot of love.
You saw the game got moved, right?
Did it actually get moved away from LA?
Yeah, it's going to be in Arizona. They moved it to Arizona. It's going to be in Glendale, Arizona, where the Niners season went to die, where we thought the last game of the year would be there, where the Niners got embarrassed. But no, they're doing Rams Vikings. They're moving.
Well, the diehard Rams fans are sure to show up in Phoenix, right?
Yeah, I'm confident in it. I was saying it was funny because
scared. I'd be fucking scared if I was the Rams right now with that crowd that's gonna pop up in Phoenix.
And the last time the Rams played there, they got embarrassed by 40 points, right? To the Cardinals on the road or something like that. They got their asses kicked.
So did they play in SoFi the day before or the last couple weeks? Yeah. So it was the game where they got their ass kicked for sure.
I don't know. It's funny because I was thinking like when the Niners went to Arizona, the Rams playing them in Arizona, like there's been more meaningful games in that stadium by the Niners and the Rams than the Cardinals in like 10, 15 years. But like you said, man, like I think a lot of people are just kind of losing confidence in this Vikings team, right? I feel like what they saw
makes
Sunday
no sense. Makes no fucking sense to me, Sage. I don't get it one bit.
What they saw Sunday kind of scared them a bit. You have Sam Darnold playing his worst game of the year in a must-have-it, Week 18, going on the road, right? You're playing the Rams. That Rams defense, that second half of the year kind of improved. Like I said, you saw them. They could win games in different ways. The Rams are a tricky team because they have McVay, they have Stafford, but on that other side, like the Vikings have just been one of the best teams in the league. They've been one of the best teams in the league. People forget it because of what happened Week 18, but they showed up 17 weeks. They played good football.
Now they won 9 games in a row. They won 9 games in a row.
They just couldn't beat the Lions.
They beat Detroit in Detroit, who, by the way, is 14-2. It's not like they're any slouch. They're at home.
No, they lost to Detroit. They lost to Detroit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Their only loss was to Detroit in Detroit. Detroit was 14-2. They're no slouch. I mean, Sage, they went 0 for 4 in the red zone. I think they only got 3 points from their red zone possessions. It was 31-9, but we all know if the Vikings cash in on a couple of those touchdowns from the 3-yard line, that game's completely different.
Yeah.
I think so, at least. I thought so.
So where are you going with here, Chase?
I mean, when I look at the Rams, I get why people like the Rams in the spot. It's a little simpleton by me, or by them, but we all know that the Vikings played the Rams Thursday Night Football earlier in the year. The Rams won 30-20. It was the first game with Puka and Cooper Kupp coming back. But, Sage, the Vikings were on a cross-country flight. It was on that Thursday night. They played the Lions the first time on that Sunday. That was a hard-fought game that came down to the wire. So I just thought that was really a tough – I thought that was a tough spot for the Vikings. Let's be honest. L.A., Phoenix, no matter what. The Rams don't have any home field advantage. So if you're going to give them 3 points for being at home, I don't give it to them because we've all seen the Niner fans take over that stadium in playoff games. So I think it's wherever it's going to be, it's going to be majority Minnesota. The Vikings have the better offense. They have the better defense. I would argue that they have just as good of a coach. And on the good Sam Darnold day, Matt Stafford isn't the man anymore. I'm sorry. He's not that good. So I'm sorry. I just like the Vikings so much in the spot. I really do. I'm a little bit scared because it seems like maybe the sharp money's coming on the Rams, but I'm not scared. I'm rolling with the Vikings. I'm rolling with Sam Darnold.
Chase, this is my favorite bet of the week. I think when I first saw it, I loved it. I fell in love with it. Monday night, last game of the week, and the wild card weekend strong. Give me the Rams. Give me the Rams. I want the Rams. I love it. I have the better quarterback. I have the better coach.
Do you? But do you?
Yes, you do. You saw Sam
Kevin
Darnold
O'Connell's
is
the
a
coach
pumpkin.
of the year, by the way.
Kevin
O'Connell's the coach of the year.
Who taught him everything he knows? Sean McVay. He's from the Sean McVay coaching tree, right?
All right. Oh,
like
okay.
you said, the master.
I don't know about that one, Sage. That's a reach. That's a fucking reach.
He was the OC on that Super Bowl team. Wasn't KOC the OC on the Super Bowl team? Maybe I'm tripping. I think. But anyways,
Kevin O'Connell's from that system, but it seems like he was going to be a stud no matter where he goes.
The Rams show up in big games. I love Matt Stafford in big games. He's a big game quarterback. You saw it. He almost beat the Lions on the road last year in the playoffs. Shows up when it matters. He got a week off. The Vikings, right? They're coming off their worst loss of the season. Embarrassing. Sam Darnold, that has to be one of the biggest, I guess, not choke jobs, but just like you could feel the pressure on that guy's shoulders.
You guys are all overreacting, man. I don't think it was like, clearly he didn't play good. I'm not going to say that he
played like
a good game.
He had guys wide open.
Are you saying that this is something he can't come back from? Are you saying he's fucking done? He went 14-2. Now after this game, he's toast.
I'm not saying he can't. I'm just not going to bet on it. I'll take my money on the other side with the proven team, with a better coach, a better quarterback. I think a better offense. Shoot me, but you got Kyron Williams.
I should shoot you. If I had a gun, I'd shoot you across the screen. That's fucking asinine.
You got Puka, right? What happened to the Vikings? Their tackle went down. You got Jared Verse coming. The defense has been improving week by week, brick by brick. They're building something over. They're building something over there in SoFi. Now we're taking it to Arizona.
Are we sure about this Rams defense? Is it really getting built up to something?
I love the way the Rams could control the clock. They played them. The Vikings defense couldn't stop the Rams. You could call it a short week. You could call it what you want. I saw what I saw. I like the Rams here. I really like the Rams here.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to say, Sage. We all know Sean McVay, Matt Stafford. They've been lighting it up the past few weeks, right, on offense?
No, they haven't. But the defense has.
Okay, so I actually got some stats for you right now. So they played the Niners 3 weeks ago on that Thursday Night Football game stage. They scored 12 points. They played the New York Jets, the vaunted New York Jets, with future Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. They put up 19 points. Sage, against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, who literally were not even in playoff contention. The defense had nothing to play for. They put up 13 points. So I think everybody is still excited with the Rams because they saw them put up 48 against the Bills. Like I said, that Bills defense is very, very susceptible. I think a lot of people are getting fooled by that game. I think a lot of people are going to get fooled by that game. KOC has been the best. I'd probably argue the best coach all year. Sam Darnold's been humming. He has weapons galore. Brian Flores has been making that defense a top 5 defense. I don't know. I just don't see it. I think Matt Stafford's old. I don't think he's that mobile in the pocket. I think that the Vikings are going to get after him. They're going to put up points on the other side. That Rams defense, I know you're saying they're building some up. I don't see it. I mean, they got Jared Verse, but everybody else on that defense is gettable as hell. So I'm taking the Vikings, and they're 14-3. The line scares me a little bit that it's only -1 with the Vikings coming in at 14-3.
Feels like a rat line.
It feels like a rat line. I'll be honest. I'm starting to get the smell, but I got faith in KOC. I think this guy is legit. I've been calling for it all year, especially after week 2. He kind of pieced up Shanahan in that week 2 matchup. He put me on notice. I got him to advance to the divisional. Take on the Lions again, where I think things are going to be a little bit different.
Chase, Notre Dame takes the lead with 5 seconds left.
Fuck, I wanted OT.
Why? Do you have the over?
I wanted to go watch this game after Sage. We just ended. I mean, I'm probably just going to go get drunk with our buddy Remo right now. He's probably
Remo's
he's
bragging about this open tab
in the marina. He's going crazy.
I wish I could be there with you boys, but Chase, I think that's it. We got 2 differing picks. We're pretty much aligned on most of these. I think we're gonna have a good week. I think we'll be back. What, Monday night, Sunday?
Maybe Sunday, maybe Monday night. What I will say, Sage, is this the best weekend in football, or is it going to be that divisional weekend coming up?
Chase, I think
I don't know though. Super Wildcard weekend, you get 3 games from each.
No, they dropped it. You're not here. They dropped Super from it. It's just Wildcard weekend now.
They can do whatever they want. I'm not going to drop it. It's Super Wildcard weekend for me, baby.
I love it. No, I think divisional is the best. I mean, look at what we're going to get in divisional. You're going to get Ravens, Bills. You're going to get Chiefs, Chargers. In the NFC, you're going to get Eagles, Vikings, or Eagles, Rams, and you're going to get Lions, Packers, or Lions, Bucks. Like, I love that. That is just 4 games you just want to see. Can't take your eyes off that TV.
Okay, so I think we went with a lot of favorites here, Sage. Before we hop off really quick, I mean,
favorites been cooking this year, though.
The ones that I'm looking at: Commanders +3, Packers +4.5, Broncos +8.5, Steelers +9.5, Texans +2.5. Who would you say is most likely out of those underdogs to pull it off? Because,
Steelers.
I'm really confident with the favorites. You think Steelers?
Well, you're saying win or cover? Sorry, win outright.
Just like win outright.
I mean the Rams, obviously, but I kind of like the Steelers.
I excluded them for a reason because that's nearing a pick 'em almost.
Packers because of what the Eagles could be, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Eagles are past that, but the Packers winning, if Jordan Love just puts on a show and could dice up that secondary, but man, no Christian Watson, Jaden Reed's kind of fallen off, man. I don't know. I really like the favorites. I'm going to go Commanders. I'll go Commanders. I could see Baker putting up an egg. I know I just jumped.
I'm going to say this.
The other.
I'm going to say this, except for our boy Max Steins, nobody's been a bigger Josh fan than me this year. I've been saying he should be the MVP. I think he's been the man. I think at one point of the year, he was playing the best football I've ever seen from a quarterback in this league. Like, he was that good.
Carried my fantasy game.
If he has an off game, I'm telling you, this Bills defense is not any good. They're going to get point score on them. You may see the Broncos upset the Bills. If he has an off game, I'll just say that. I'm not saying it's most likely, but upset alert. Ring the bells. Ring the bells.
Give me an exacta. Give me an exacta here. 30-13. Book it.
30-13.
Book it.
Book it. Notre Dame's going to the national championship stage. Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that one? Do they have any shot against a Texas or a Ohio State?
Oh, that's right. They're in.
This is the national championship.
That's
Notre
right.
Dame,
yeah.
Notre Dame is going to the national championship game. They just beat Penn State 27-24. They haven't made it since Chip Kelly.
I'm rooting for them.
Or not Chip Kelly. Brian Kelly back in 2012, where they got just absolutely obliterated by Alabama. Some feels different, Sage. I like this Marcus Freeman guy. I was calling for his job after they lost to Northern Illinois, but this seems like the team of destiny almost.
Okay, so I'm going to try and see if they have the line out. It does feel like that. Ohio.
I will say that Ohio State probably fucks them up. I will say that.
You like Ohio State next round or on Saturday, right?
Yeah. Or tomorrow, I mean, I don't know. Is McConaughey in attendance? If I got my boy McConaughey with the cowboy hat on, that orange jacket, I could see a way that they pull off an upset.
Is the jacket?
But Sage, I mean, look at your polo right now. We all saw what Ohio State did a couple of weeks ago. It looked like nobody in college football history could have beat them.
-6. Jesus.
They're -6 against Texas or against Notre Dame?
Against Texas. They're going to be like 13-14 against Notre Dame.
Yeah, fuck. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Any shot for Texas, or do you got Ohio State?
I like Ohio State, man. I mean, what I saw on the Rose Bowl, I said it to you, man. I said, I think Ohio State's the second best team in college football. It's bullshit. The fucking expanded playoffs. Oregon can never catch a break, bro. Of course, you're going to have an 8 seed versus the 7 seed in the college football playoffs. It is what it is. I do like it in the long run. It just fucked my team this year, so I'm salty about it. But you're a hater if you don't think this playoffs was fun, because every game was pretty much like really enjoyable, with it, 1 or 2 exceptions. But it's nice. I think maybe just keep it at 8 though, going forward.
Would you say part of it was that the Oregon Ducks were always just a fraud, and that's why they lost?
They literally are like, they have such, I said they're more Cowboys than they are Niners to me, but they've made the big game more recently. But they're more Cowboys than Niners to me. And they have the most hyped up fans. They're like big talk, even though you don't know why they're such big talk. And they always let you down in the worst spot. They find ways to lose. The Ducks are like that. I mean, the Niners are like that. The Cowboys are like that. They're just a big brand that people love to hate on. So, and their fans travel. They have fans everywhere. Embarrassing season. They have the top recruiting class in 2025 and 2026. I think I've said that the past 20 years. They're going to get one. They'll get one before I die. I promise you. They'll get one.
All I will say is, as a friend, just shit talking about Oregon, it's been pretty easy the past 5 years. They never let me down. Shit. But to everybody watching, please subscribe, comment.
We'll be in the bio.
Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Sage. We've been putting out some good TikTok stuff, YouTube shorts, so check that out as well.
Yes.
Everybody who's watching, have a fun weekend, man. This is one of the best weekends of the year. You only got NFL football, Sage, for about 5 more weeks, so really savor it. Get drunk on Saturday. Maybe spend Sunday with the loved ones.
As I will
get a good meal going, watch all 3 games. That's going to be awesome. But like Sage brought up, we're going to come back either Sunday or Monday. Check out Twitter for any updates. But that's going to be it for the stream today. We'll talk to you guys later.